We're just about ready for our final presenter. We're doing well on time, so we may actually have a few minutes for us to hear what these amazing speakers have learned through their Toastmaster journey and any recommendations they might have for us to be able to touch an audience the way that they have this evening. September 11th, 2001, life for our presenter changed. He was working at United Way at number 110 Wall Street, just down the street from the Twin Towers. On September 11, 2013, he had a longer version of this presentation, and he credits having given it the night before here for this Toastmaster group to give him the confidence to tell the story of how life was never the same after that day. This person is a New Yorker. He's been in Toastmasters for 20 years. Please help me welcome up Jim Sims with The Man in the Red Bandana, A Good Samaritan for Modern Times. Jim Sims.
I can't remember if I cried when I read about his widowed bride, but something touched me deep inside the day the music died. But Don McLean, the author of American Pie, wrote that song in 1972. The music died on February 3rd, 1959. The next day, he was folding the newspapers he would deliver that day, and he read about the only person he ever idolized, Buddy Holly, who died in that plane crash along with Richie Valens, the Big Bopper, and Roger Peterson, a 21-year-old pilot. They died in a Beechcraft airplane in an Iowa snowfield. At 8:46, American Airlines Flight 11 hit the North Tower. When I try to make sense out of 9/11, music sometimes doesn't do it, but I think symbols sometimes do. For some people, it's the twisted metal in the shape of a cross. For others, it could be the crushed fire helmets of 343 firefighters. For me, it is the red kerchief worn by a 23-year-old equities trader who to this day, 16 years later, asks, what would you do if you had 1 hour to live? Don McLean wrote about a man who made a tremendous difference that day. And he's always impressed me, the whole story of Welles Crowther. He graduated from Boston College. He worked on the 104th floor of the South Tower for Sandler & O'Neill, and he was an equities trader. But what he did that day was truly miraculous. It made all the difference in the world. And he saved the lives of people who that day, on a Tuesday, on a bright sunny day, came to work just like any other day. And near the Canyon of Heroes, they found a hell on earth. And yet, for almost as many as 12 people, he made a tremendous difference because he brought them to life, to salvation, if you will. And what was unfortunate is, for a long time, he was the only child, and his mother Allison and his father Jefferson, they didn't know what happened to him. And then his body was found on March 19th, 2002, near the command center of the South Tower with the bodies of other firefighters. Body was found fully intact, which in and of itself was a tremendous blessing for his parents. But yet they still didn't know what had happened to Welles that day. And yet on May 26th of that year, a story appeared in the New York Times that talked about survivors. And they quoted two people, Lynn Young and Judy Ween. And they both spoke about a man in a red bandana, that he came out of nowhere and made a difference and saved them that day. And they actually owe their lives to him. He grew up and went to Boston College. He was a volunteer firefighter with the Nyack Fire Department. And when he was 6 years old, his father Jefferson, who was also a volunteer firefighter and happened to wear a red bandana, sat him down and said, "Welles, this is for show. This is for blood. And wherever he went the rest of his life, he had that red kerchief. So when when the American Airlines Flight 175 hit the South Tower, he went into action. The 78th floor was where the elevators switch, where you changed elevators to go to different aspects of the building. And what he did is he found an exit, and he actually said, "Follow me." And he literally put a woman who couldn't walk on his back. And he led them down to the 61st floor, where the air started to clear, and directed them to continue going down. When they got to the 40th floor, they found firefighters who led them all the way to the end of the building. And so as they went down to salvation, to hope, to a future life, he went back up to see if he couldn't save other people. And so when he got up there, he encountered Judy Ween. And Judy Ween said to her husband later that day in the hospital, "It was as if a man came out of nowhere." He said, "If you can stand up now. If you can help somebody, help them now." And he led another group of people to that exit. But unfortunately, his parents didn't know what had happened to him. But his father found out that when he found out that story, and he knew that his son had been a hero, he said it was as if it was inspirational. It made all the difference. And he said it was as if he took off his Equities trader hat and put on his firefighter helmet. And Judy Ween said, someone could live 100 years and not show the wherewithal or the compassion that he showed. And his father Jefferson said, he didn't live to head a corporation. He didn't do great works of mercy. He didn't endow a museum. But what he did that day was his legacy. And when I tried to capture what the meaning of 9/11 was, I think you can maybe say it's four things. It's a greater appreciation for freedom. Heartbreak, there is no cure for heartbreak. Evil is real, but so is courage. And the time to say, I love you, is now. And as was mentioned in the introduction, it's because of Toastmasters. It's because of Welles Crowther. It's because of his story of hope and relief and the ability to be that good Samaritan in the canyons of New York that I have been able to make some sense out of the destruction that was 9/11. So if this is the first time you're hearing about Welles Crowther, let me tell you that when his parents went to his apartment in Brooklyn, they found out a very interesting thing. This Equities trader had an application to join the New York City Fire Department. And several months later, very, very rare thing happened. New York City posthumously made Welles Crowther a New York City firefighter. So in essence, he is the 344th firefighter who died that day, along with 60 police officers and a whole lot of other heroes whose names we'll never hear.